Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. We have a special guest. You guys know what the whole country has been talking about. You guys know what millennials have been talking about. You guys know what thinking people have been talking about when it comes to not only drugs, when it not only comes to the opioid addiction, when it not only come to alcoholism and all these other isms. Well, we have somebody today that is well schooled in this product. We, back in from the part of the world we used to call it ganja. They call it marijuana. They call it weed. They call it all kind of things. We are honored to have Ashley Miller. Ashley Miller, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We are doing just fine, and we are going to have a great show. Ashley defines herself as a voice for the people that benefit from the use of cannabis. Is that right?
That is right.
Now tell me, before we go into other parts of the program, I just kind of wanted to have a little preamble with you as far as who you are, etc. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, I'm actually just a small business owner here in Houston. I am a proud mom of 3 and a wife, a union electrician, and I have had my hands in several things, and I've experienced a lot, and I've done a lot of research. And so I decided to take a step back, stay home, and do more research, to kind of put myself into this organization and help them out, spread the word. So now I'm on a break, and I am focusing on this.
Now, what a lot of people kind of have a tendency to believe that anybody who is supporting the 420 movement or supporting the cannabis movement, whatever you call this movement, that somehow these people are potheads. Are you a pothead?
I absolutely am.
All right. Now, when I
but
say,
I'm a traveler. And that doesn't mean the old school term either. So that's what we're going to get into.
That is what we're going. Absolutely. We're going to get into how these terms evolve, and not only evolve, but what's the real meaning of the terms. But folks, if you're just joining us, remember how we are going to get the message out there. We need you to share. If you just joined us, we want you to go ahead and share on your Facebook wall, your Facebook page, Twitter, Tumblr, everywhere. And why am I telling you this, folks? Because the corporate media here would much like to control the message entirely. You would not have seen an Ashley Miller given time on mainstream media, but on independent progressive media, whomever wants to gets an opportunity to talk, and that is who we are here. So if you're just joining us, please share this on your page, share this on your wall. Yes, it's going to be out in podcasts, vlogcasts. Yes, it's going to be on iTunes and everywhere else. But as we do it live, I'd love for you guys to share it as well. And not only that, if you have questions as well, to call in 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. Now, earlier, before I told Ashley that I was going to go ahead and do the blog of the week and then get back to her. But what I think I want to do instead is I think I want to continue with the discussion on all together. And then later on, if we are left with time, we can go ahead and do blog of the week. Whatever the case is, the blog of the week is linked to the blog the blog of the show. So let me start the show as follows. Guest Ashley Miller to discuss an important subject, marijuana legalization, and much more. It's much more than that. We are going to go in depth. Ashley Miller of 420 Open Carry discusses cannabis, aka marijuana, weed, talks about the benefits of the herb, as well as the necessary mobilization to ensure smart policies are put in place throughout the country. Folks, during my Politics Done Right show, a Houston activist and good friend of mine sent me an email. Hey, Egberto, you've got to check out Ashley Miller. I know who Ashley Miller was. I mean, I didn't know there was an Ashley Miller. My daughter's name is Ashley, but her name is Ashley Willies. Anyhow, you need to have her on your show. As you know, this show belongs to whom? This show belongs to everybody who listens to the show. That's the difference between our media and the other media. Anybody who has something to say positive that's going to move us forward gets a platform here. Absolutely anybody gets a platform. We cover subjects the mainstream media will not touch in detail or at all. Most importantly, we give a voice to everyone, irrespective of their ideology. Why? Because that is who we are. That must be America. That is what democracy is all about. Ashley Miller is our special guest. She will discuss cannabis, marijuana, weed, whatever you call it, ganja, whatever you want to call it, in all of its aspects, from medicinal benefits to the legal morass that we endure with this important plant. So, folks, let's get busy right now and start talking to Ashley. So, folks, Ashley Miller is on. How do we say it? Ashley Miller is in the house.
In the house.
Politics Done Right house. Okay, Ashley. So talk to me now. You're a mother of three, and you have a family. You have a whole lot to do. What made you so interested in the movement to not only legalize marijuana, but to make it an acceptable term and not have the taboo that we currently have around the herb?
Okay, that's a good question. Normally, especially being a mother, people would be hesitant to kind of be passionate about this and passionate in public. Now, first and foremost, I'm not urging anybody to partake in anything illegal. I am not asking for anybody to try something that may not be for them. It may not be for everybody. But what made me so passionate about this was the death of my brother and the addiction to the painkillers that were provided by the VA. And it wasn't my brother. I noticed it was all of his Marine brother.
Right.
And we're struggling so hard to just have something help them when they returned home. And it's like this country does everything they can to strip them down and train them to go on to the front line. But when they come home, they're forgotten. Nobody helps them come back to be a civilian in a normal everyday life, and they're just another number. And it definitely gives our government a lot of money to push these pharmaceuticals. But if we started to dig more and care more about our people, and first and foremost, our men and women that are fighting for us, we would see all the side effects that pills are starting to cause.
So I think what you're saying is that from experience and from what you've researched on, a lot of the the PTSD and all of that these guys are being medicated for, or using drugs that are mostly harmful to them. And what you're proposing, based on not you as an individual proposing, but based on studies made here and elsewhere, that just maybe we need to give this product a chance, as opposed to putting a whole lot of people away on it.
Exactly. And that's another good thing, is we will touch on putting people away on it. The amount of money that our government can save, the statistics that are just alone in this magazine.
Right. And tell us which magazine is that you have.
Right now, I'm strongly urging anyone interested, and that if you are for or against the legalization for medicinal, recreational, whatever your stance may be, go ahead and pick up a copy of the Time magazine. It's Marijuana Goes Mainstream, and it is full of so many good facts that go from political to criminal, medicinal research, the type of crowds that it targets, it doesn't target, and it actually takes you back in history, and it will teach you where it got its bad rap and why.
Excellent. I think a lot of people are not aware of that, and it's good to know that that we're going to present that to them. So first of all, tell me a little bit about marijuana and why are you so you gave us a story about your brother. Sorry to hear about the passing of your brother, and I think you think it had a whole lot to do with not only the PTSD but the drugs, etc. That he was given. Now, what would you have expected otherwise if we didn't have the issues we had with let's say cannabis?
Well, I think that okay, so it could be kind of a little bit of everything, and it's such a deep topic that if we would have approached this differently and not been, because here in Texas, we are the last ones on the boat in any way, shape, or form or fashion. But if we would have been a little bit more open-minded and done a little bit more research, I don't know if people realize, but all of the money that our government has put into research for cannabis alone, do you know that only 6% of that money is going into positive research? The remainder of that percentage is going into research to find its faults, which is why the money is just going out the window. Because guys,
explain that. I don't know.
What I'm getting at is, so we've approved for scientific research and money to go into the cannabis industry and how it can help. And in this Time magazine, you will see that it says that 6% of the money allotted by government to go into medicinal research, 6% has only gone towards positive and how it can positively affect people medicinally and across the board. The rest of the percentage has all gone into research to find how it can not benefit or how it can hurt an individual, whether it be for medicinal or recreational use. So really, people hear that we are putting money into research, but they don't see how that money is being utilized.
Right.
And that's a very important part, because if you knew a little bit more about the herb and the plant itself, and where it derives from, you would see that it's positive and that maybe we need to kind of change our way of thinking. It kind of goes back to what you were saying with mainstream media. You're only hearing what they want you to hear. And that is what's hurting this industry so bad. A little bit mixed up with, the age and the crowd that you're appealing to. But it's time for us to change that way, which is why I'm so thankful for your show, because it's a different outreach type. It's more engaging and it gets to the people that needs to hear it. But the name and the bad rap and just kind of jumping on the bandwagon is where we kind of went wrong and where we need to change it. If we would put more positive light on it and more pressure on this topic, I think that's kind of where we went wrong on helping these vets and these people that are suffering from it. We need to change that.
Okay, so let's go then in order, because I think it's important. Marijuana, cannabis, what is it?
Marijuana and cannabis is, well, there's different forms. It depends on if you're talking in the hemp stage. There's I could go in and educate you all on it, but it would take quite some time.
Yeah, give us a synopsis, because what I really want, and yes, everybody go to the Times, right? The Time magazine article.
Yes, I mean, this is the leaf that it looks like.
Right, and so when I say tell us a little bit about the plant, just give us a synopsis of what is it? Is it a herb? It is a herb. Okay, good.
Naturally grown from the earth.
Right, and now people use it in several forms. They burn it to inhale it to get the effects, but there are other ways that folks get the effects of the plant as well.
Right. There are edibles. There are ways to extract the substances from the herb, and you can make it into tinctures. I know that Parkinson's patients, they benefit, epilepsy patients, they benefit highly from the tinctures, also called the Simpson pill. Those are not available here in Texas. And if they are prescribed in any way, shape, or form, we don't have the doctors that are on the ball with this, that really have background to know how to get their licensing or really have the guts to prescribe it because they're few and far between. I mean, it's simply a handful. So you can do it in edibles, tinctures. You can do it in tea. You can do it in brownies. You can roll it up and smoke it. You can vaporize it. You can literally put it into a device that vaporizes it and puts it in the most purest form and has absolutely no side effects. As long as you use it in moderation and as long as, medicinally you get checked out by your doctor, there's nothing that can hurt you in this plant. You can't overdose. You cannot die from this plant.
You cannot die from this plant.
You cannot die from this plant. Zero deaths. Zero deaths related with marijuana and things like that. And you can pull up research. Alcohol is regulated by the government, and it is.
I don't want to go into alcohol yet because I really want to touch on that heavily to show how our government works. So I want to continue to stick with the cannabis area and what it is and what it does.
Right. And so what it is it's going to target the brain to, like with epilepsy, it targets the circuits and it slows kids down from having seizures. It can help with chronic pain. It can help with multiple sclerosis. It helps with cancer. It's been shown to decrease the growing of tumors up to 70%. There have been people that have gotten rid of cancer. Tommy Chong right now. I don't know if y'all have heard about him and getting his newest form of cancer, but he's using purely cannabis. And I'm not saying he's not using other medicines. I'm not saying don't use your medicine. But this is a very pure form of something natural that can go for helping PTSD, cancer, multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, migraines. The list goes on.
Now, if I recall from, sorry for interrupting, but if I recall from some of the studies that that's out there, people, there are a lot of folks who sell all these natural things that supposedly have healing powers, and most of the times it is snake oil. But I think there are studies like that's been done in Israel and other places where have shown chemically why and how the chemical reactions occur to mitigate those particular diseases that you're speaking about. Is that correct?
That is correct. In fact, India actually had a huge article or research and did a huge archive on the benefits back in the day. I mean, I think it was in the 1930s or something. I mean, it was a long time ago.
Right.
And you know what the problem was with that, though?
What was the problem?
Nobody got the information of this phenomenal study done in India. We didn't have technology.
Right. But you know what is interesting?
Had a way to wear it.
Yeah. Even if there was technologies, you wonder, remember, you can't patent marijuana. You can't patent this herb. It's something that's occurring naturally. People don't make money off of it, right?
Right. Well, no. People make money off of this now. There's billionaires.
Oh no. What I meant is that they can't make money off of the patent. They can make it. You see, I believe in making money on anything, right? Not on anything, but on things like this, where again, you're not infringing on anybody else's right to make money on it as well. I mean, if I can't go and produce an opioid, but I can go ahead and grow a plant. Exactly.
And guess what? Nobody likes that.
Right.
Because the big dogs don't make money on the pills.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. So, okay, so we kind of have an idea of what cannabis is or what marijuana is and the things that it can actually do that are beneficial. If all those things are true, why is it that our medical profession is resistant to attempt to bring that into the fold?
Well, I think it's a mixture of things. I think it's a lot of it is the old reputation that it had and the audience that is connected to that. It's kind of an age thing. So when you look into our government, the people that are, in the position to make a change, they're used to that old threat. They're used to it being the dangerous drug, the heroin type addiction. which in fact is not addictive at all. There's nothing about it that's addictive. It would be a self choice to it's habit forming. So you would choose to have it be a problem. Now, I think the other part of it is money. Money. That's it. The people with money send their children with their money to a very expensive school and invest in their children to become these scientists that they are the only way to create something to put you out of pain or something to attempt to try these seizures, stop these seizures. If we didn't need that as much as we need that right now, how much money would Big Pharma lose? And not only that, but the drug testing industry, they would not need as much drug testing. Think about how many people get a drug test for marijuana-based stuff alone.
Right. So it's a whole industry, and we can go even further with it is the pharmaceutical industry, it's the testing industry, it is the jail complex industry, it is the prison industrial complex. It's the whole thing that we're talking about that depends on marijuana being illegal and folks being able to be convicted of doing this. Isn't that right?
That is exactly right.
Now, tell me, before we go into the political part about how we're going to get the political, go into the political sphere to really, to really have these politicians do what they really should justifiably do. Tell me exactly, what do you think, what is it that you and the movement wants to see with regards to marijuana?
Well, what we want to see and what's going to happen may be two different things, but either way, regardless, one day it's going to happen. My movement wants to see it legalized across the board, recreational, medical. I mean, we'll take what we can get, but like you said, there's a process, and so there's only so much we can do unless we get some help from others. And the way we're going to do it is doing right here, reaching the people the only way we can without the big media man telling us no. So we want to see it across the board legal. We want to let the criminals go, and that we're only convicted of marijuana-related charges. We want the record to be expunged. We want to see a booming industry. We have, regardless if you're a Longhorn or not, we have Texas A&M here, and we know what they're about. Agricultural. We want to see them use that base of knowledge to help see this entire industry grow. We want to see less addicts, and we want to see more jobs. We want to see more natural and less science and chemicals. I mean, technically, people cook up different kinds of drugs in their house, and they're criminals, which I don't agree with. But what differentiates them from what the other scientists are doing, you know, with all of their chemicals and poison that they're, you know, that they're feeding people? But it's a crime for a plant. I don't get it.
That is sad. And I had heard this, but I don't have the background or the research. I don't know if it's in the articles that you've been reading. But isn't it true that we have some sort of a stoppage on research on marijuana here in this country? I could be wrong, but I just want to make sure that that is not the case.
We definitely need more research. But California and Colorado seem to be doing fine with their research, and that's what I don't understand. People have taken it and done individual research. They've invested themselves or had sponsors, and their findings are amazing. I mean, in fact, they're life-changing. It's very unique to me and very odd that nobody else is picking this up. And the only thing I can come up with myself is that it's a bigger ballgame.
Oh, it's a much bigger ball game. And I want to give a little stop here to say this to the audience. Normally you tune in to Politics Done Right, and we're talking about the senators and the politicians and all of that. Today we're talking about marijuana, and some of you would tune in and say, whoa, you're talking about marijuana? That doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. The reality is it does. The reality is everything that we're talking about here with marijuana and everything else plays into the picture. Everything that you think you know about marijuana, for my audience that are the older part of my audience that cringe whenever you hear about marijuana legalization, that cringe whenever you hear about these issues, and you just think of people as being crazy potheads or just a whole fun-loving, dope-smoking folk. That is really not the case. You know, the funniest. Yes. Go
You
ahead.
know what also makes me cringe, though?
Yes.
The audience may cringe when they hear that word, but as a mother of three, you know what makes me cringe
Tell me.
is the fact that there are other mothers out there right now in Texas like me, and unfortunately, their children have numerous seizures a day. We have to sit there and watch helplessly because they cannot get not only their hands on what they need, but not in the type of dosage and the potency that they need to help their child. That makes me cringe.
You know what? I mean, what Ashley just said, everybody should listen to in not only in detail, but they should empathize with what she just said. A mother who has a kid who know there's a solution for her kid's epileptic seizure or behavioral issues, and because of policymakers who choose not to look at the evidence but listen to the lobbyists from pharmaceuticals, prevent that from coming in order to provide heavy drugs that have side effects to these kids, that should really make you cringe as well. Very well said, Ashley. Very well said. Again, to
I mean,
our folks.
it's sad.
Go ahead.
It's very sad.
Absolutely. Now, folks, let me tell you, a lot of what Ashley is talking about here, you're not going to get. The guy on CNN did a whole thing on cannabis a while back, but they put that all for and in between, right? And they don't spend the amount of time, and they don't personalize it in a fashion that Americans can see it. In other words, if we have Ashley on screen who has kids, or who has a kid or no kids who would benefit from this, we have actual people, actual Texans to show you that would benefit from this, based not on, we think it's going to work, but based on knowing these things work. It is only politicians who don't listen to the populace, but listen to the lobbyists who would be hurt if this became a mass movement that we're concerned about. Exactly. So, folks, listen, and not only listen, but remember to share these types of programs, because what happens is we have a citizenry that is purposely not maligned, but purposely left uninformed. And in so doing, it hurts us all. Okay, Ashley, continue, please.
And I was just going to kind of go back into wrap it up a little bit with the politics for your show, for your audience too, to kind of know if they get back to, I believe, back to the beginning of when it all happened, when they started to constitute, all the mandatory minimum sentences and 10-year sentence time for a single joint. It kind of goes back to Richard Nixon, where he opened the war on drugs 4 decades ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually, I'm going to go bold here.
That's fine.
A lot that it has to do with it's a civil issue with our civil rights, and it's race.
Right.
Back in the day when we had a lot of people crossing the border over in Laredo, and there were mostly black men and Mexican men that Anslinger at the time did not like, because there were prostitution, alcohol, heroin, cocaine, and marijuana going down over there by the border. And so the best thing they can do is just categorize all of these substances, which, heaven forbid, alcohol was not the problem, because half of these higher up politicians were sipping on their gin and tonic. So the best thing they could do was take away the heroin, the cocaine, and classify the marijuana with the Mexican and the black race. And, heaven forbid, we all realize that JFK was open toker, but I think that a long time they sat there and they said, wow, if we let this natural herb grow, and if we can make it a crime, we can get all of these minorities and we can get them in prison, get paid for it, and then continue to make our money on the medicinal side, which is big pharma. So, and it's sad because it was up until the mid-2000s, more than 40,000 people in jail for the possession of marijuana. That's bigger than some countries' prison system altogether
Yes.
for murder, rape, whatever the case may be. And because they had a pure plant to grow and smoke or whatever, that got wrongly categorized back in the day at the border with heroin, prostitution, cocaine, all of those things that were hallucinogenic, that were addictive, and they would say they acted like animals. Well, I don't know about you, but when I've been under the influence of cannabis, I don't want to act like an animal.
You're peaceful.
I kind of want to chill out, and that's honestly a godsend, because I think we're in the times now where we need to kind of just change. This whole setup of technology and everything has sped up time tremendously, so much faster than our creator, whoever that may be that you believe in, intended it to be. And sometimes I think the best cure is to just slow it down and look around you and take it all in, get off your phone. And that's the only thing I really see cannabis doing, is slowing things down. And there's nothing wrong with that. But back to the subject is, every year between 2001 and 2010, around 800,000 people were arrested for marijuana. That's 3 times the amount in 1999. Non-white teens in California surged from 3,100 in 1990 to 16,400 in 2010.
That speaks for itself. Yeah. That speaks for
the
itself.
fact that they possessed something that was illegal.
Right. I mean, that it is amazing how our system use laws to promote social issues and much more, because that is exactly what you're looking at. That was some social engineering that's done with a drug. That was social engineering. We haven't yet spoken about marijuana versus alcohol, which it's an interesting issue. I mean, we talk about how many people have been killed by marijuana. I forgot that big number that you told me. How many people die from marijuana again? You gave me a huge number. What was that?
Oh, it's a big fat 0.
Yeah, that's how many, right? And how many die yearly from alcohol abuse again?
Oh, I don't have that number on hand, but it's a lot.
And you have to remember, it's that alcohol doesn't only affect those that people who OD on alcohol, because you can OD on alcohol. It also affects the accidents, the car crashes that occur because of alcohol. It also talks about the homicides that occur because of alcohol and all these other issues. And guess what? Alcohol is legal. It's not even controlled.
Exactly.
Colorado and California have made cannabis, marijuana legal, and the amount of controls, they're doing great. But what's the amount of money that's spent into controlling the substance? In other words, even as it's legal, all the plants have to be accounted for manufacturers.
From seed to sale.
Oh, I mean, they have all of this. How come we don't do that for corn or beets from where alcohol is made? And alcohol is so much more destructive.
Cost them some income, I mean, I think it pretty much speaks for itself. Nobody cares about corn because corn isn't going to heal you. Corn's going to just be there, and it's almost as if it's like, this whole essential oil thing that these women jump on, which is great. I'm not knocking. I'm saying they're making an income off of these essential oils. What would happen to that whole market if you could just go in your backyard, get a leaf, put it in that form of, like this ballerina says from New York, and she says, I took the what is it? It's like a deodorant stick, and she took the cream and she rubbed it on her joints before her ballet recital, and she could make the whole show. But guess what? She wouldn't have to buy a subscription. She wouldn't have to sell, and she wouldn't have to host parties and get people to make orders. And so, I mean, just heaven forbid it be that easy, right? we live in a very sad world at this time.
Yeah, well, we have a whole lot of comments on. I think you sort of blew up the comment side of the Facebook live feed. So,
Oh, well, I'm not even paying attention because I love you all no matter where you stand. Um, I've been through a lot, guys. And so there's nothing that can be said on there that will ever make me mad at you guys.
well,
I'm really, really
I have a very, very enlightened audience. I must say that it's funny because a congresswoman a couple of days ago, she read a piece that I wrote for Daily Coast. I don't know if you ever heard of the dailycoast.com, DAI. It's it's the most progressive website in the country. And I did some writing for them. And she said, wow, I read your piece. But then and she liked the piece. And then she said, but my God, listening, you have a very enlightened. I don't remember the word she used, but meaning you have a very enlightened audience. Meaning these are people who don't necessarily agree with you, but they want to have the conversation and they want to talk, and that's how you start.
Exactly. And hey, it's all about respect. We all are in this together. And like you said, at the end of the day, it's all about the people. I hope my comments don't offend anybody. I'm not here to try to bring in the drugs and all that. By no means am I trying to be like that. I respect others' opinions. And hey, it could probably help me out.
Exactly. Hey, Ashley, it's funny because Patricia De Galani says, hey, Egberto, I am 70 and I don't cringe. I binge.
I love it. I love it. Hi, Miss Pat. I love you.
And then we have Candace Dyer who says 5 years seizure free.
That's awesome.
Okay.
See, that's amazing.
I don't know who Michael Green is, but evidently Michael Green wants you guys to know what the website is. So please, folks, remember 420opencarry.com. And we're going to get into politics next and how movements are built to actually get these things through. But before, I just want to kind of go through and by the way, you've been getting some great positive responses. So, I mean,
good. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what I would expect because, like I said, what we try to reach. The way we try to approach things are, as you know, it's not in an argumentative fashion. It's just and not only fact based, because fact based is not enough. It's not enough for you to come on a show and just spill out a whole lot of facts. It's also important for what you did earlier when you said it's about your kids. It's about what has happened to others, because what Americans can have a lot of is empathy. And if we can empathize with something else somebody is going through, but when we're just looking at cold facts, it has a problem. I'm an engineer by training, and I used to believe that just shooting facts out should let everybody just know that this is what you should do and shouldn't do. As I joined the movement, as I'm more into the activist movement, I realized that it's a lot more than that. It's actually being able to see your point of view. So now talking about politics, all right? To get us, let's start Texas first. For Texas to move further than it has to, and it's one of the states that's behind in the movement.
I know.
Yes, and that is because of the leadership that we have. We have a leadership that I call them the troglodytes, but I mean, they have no interest in learning. They have no interest in expanding their horizons, but there is a way to force their expansion, the expansion of their horizons, and that is what you're doing, Ashley. So tell me a little bit about what you are doing, what you want to do, and what you intend to do.
Okay, so what I'm doing, what we are doing with 420 Open Carry, it's Cannabis Open Carry Walks. What we are doing is trying to, let me back up. The majority of the people that have done their research and their individual research at home are people that are what we call in the closet cannabis users because it's illegal. So, of course, that's what they have to do. But through this type of social media reach out and through this type of streaming process, we are taking testimonies. We are out in the street. Corey Watkins has done a great job in getting you guys involved and spreading them over the city and putting them out there to educate these people that have done their independent research and let them know what it takes to change. Because if we keep taking this cycle of, I mean, for lack of better term, the rich get rich and the poor stay poor kind of thing. When a person of this type of social contact hears the word politics alone, it kind of scares them. It's a small word that has such a deep meaning. And I'm not gonna lie. I was talking to my mom, and I told her, I said, wow, I wish I would have paid attention more in 6th grade when they told me how all this stuff works, because they teach it at such a young age when it's not important to you. Okay, let's just be honest. And unless you grow up in a very politically strong family, or you are furthering your education at a time where you do understand its importance, you're not going to grasp what it takes to change things. You're going to think it's just impossible. And where we stand right now with cannabis and carry laws, we are being very aggressive in the aspect of getting out on the streets, spreading the words, and we are getting people on board to help educate the public on what process needs to be done. Now, right now, I know that we had the bill that kind of died because they ran out of time last session and it wasn't addressed and whatnot. But then, August, I believe 2013, when Gupta with CNN actually came out and changed his whole outreach and apologized on CNN for his accusations on marijuana and medicinal use. We are taking all of these facts and we are training these people that believe in the cause. And they're saying, just tell me how to make a difference. Tell me how to change it. And it comes down to these stinking bills. Okay. So in November, we are being told by a lot of people that we are stupid. It's not going to happen. That recreational wise, I do feel medicinal wise that we are getting the message out there enough to where legislature can't ignore it. But we're going further than that, and we're dumbing it down a little to where let's educate how the process goes. Let's tell people how a bill originates, who has the authority to create them, how revisions can be made, how the session itself for 140 days is operated, and what you need to do, where your place is as a person. Because that's where we fall short in this country. We've got to start at the bottom. It doesn't necessarily make someone dumb. It doesn't make them beneath you, because they just aren't
informed
as and informed with the political process. They're still a person, and they're still important. And we got to do our due diligence to. If it was a teammate, we'd pick them up and help them cross the finish line, Let's do that with our people and say, hey, guys, you do matter. You need to get involved. And hey, if you don't know how and you believe in this marijuana movement with us, join our team. And we, by all means, would love to help educate you, regardless of your political party. Okay?
And I want... I need to add something to that, because now that you're talking with irrespective of political parties, that is absolutely true. I mean, for those of you, my conservative and Republican brothers that listen to my show all of the times, we have to remember that John Boehner just joined the board of a cannabis company. So it tells you that there's some movement here. Now, with regards to getting the immediacy of getting policy changes, right now, all the platforms are known in Texas. You can go down the platforms and see which are the people who believe in the acceptance of cannabis, both recreationally and medicinally. You can find that out. It is time for us to stop. For those people who vote straight line as opposed to particular what's in their best interest, this is the time for you to do your own research, and I'm sure Ashley is going to be able in the long run to tell you which politicians support what types of policies and why, if this is your issue, you should be supporting these particular politicians. Yes. Correct,
and
Ashley?
In fact, if you go to our website, it's www.420opencarry.com, or you can go ahead and message our Facebook page. We have a great team of political people that will educate you. Any question you have, if you just believe in this cause, you want to know who people or what people back and what they don't back, and you need to contact, we'll let you know. We don't mind at all. And we don't discriminate based on your political party whatsoever. We'll just point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. And by the way, I have your website right next to your thing on the site. So folks, if you forget what she just said, note that the 420opencarry.com is there. So make use of it and take her up on what she said. She said that she will be there to answer all questions, or her team will be there to answer all questions. They'll be there to answer all questions. For those, I want, before you come back in, Ashley, because I know several of the folks in the audience, because my mother has been one of them, and where whenever they hear the word marijuana, because the institutions of government and all of that has so maligned several things, not only marijuana, but they've maligned a lot of other things that are good for you. And they have done that because corporations know that absent that, they would be in trouble. They wouldn't make as much money as they're making right now. We have to make these things, we have to turn these issues on their heads. We have to let people know that what has happened over time is that they've been misinformed, like they've been misinformed on many other issues in this country.
Very much so. Colorado is thriving now that they have done the full legalization. And I believe Obama gave them 3 years to test the waters, kind of.
Right.
Oh, do y'all know that California is, I think it's the 5th largest economy now in the world?
In the world, yes.
In the world. Do you know that we have people in the institutions, in the prison system right now, that could actually be our key players in helping us utilize this to better Texas alone? I
Absolutely.
mean, I'm floored at when I see the numbers. I think it's 29 states, and DC is the ones that are, medicinal. But here in Colorado and in California, they have government. In Colorado and California, they have government pot inspectors, gainfully employed bud tenders with health insurance and 401k, professional marijuana critics, and marijuana millionaires. And what's funny is, you go to the very back of the Times magazine, which I'm sure y'all know this took a lot of money to create, so they knew what they were doing. But if you go to the back, it talks about a salesman's pitch that he said, I've got a new direction completely. I'm going to completely change my direction. And it says, where do we go from here? And he is now stating that weed is the new wine. All of us out there in politics that love to have political conversations over a glass of wine, there are people in other states becoming millionaires and enjoying better wine than you are.
Why do you think Boehner
intoxicated for hours?
Right, and why do you think Boehner decided to do what he's doing? Because he see the light, folks. So we have to really start getting serious about all these issues, because when we start to get serious, then change happens. That's why we'll always have people like Ashley Miller on our programs, people that have real messages to give to you, not the crap that you're going to listen to all day, all night. You've noticed that if you listen to ABC, CBS, CNBC, all of these, everything goes in a loop. Everything goes into a loop. Where are the issues on marijuana? Where are the issues, the real issues? I want to touch on something else before we go. Exactly. I want to touch on another issue. There was a study that came out, and I didn't come prepared with the study, but that said that marijuana could actually reduce the use of opioids. And if it reduces the use of opioids, that actually means the opioid explosion could actually be mitigated. Had you followed that at all or not?
I followed it a little bit, and don't quote me on all of these statistics because, like I said, I don't have them in front of me at the moment, but I have lived it firsthand. And I think that's better than any kind of statistic you can find in a book anywhere else. I witnessed let me just give you the exact thing. It was the narcos, the hydrocodone, all of these drugs that my brother was given, Oxycontin, from the VA. And, when these people are given this substance, and let's say, I know I get carried away with just life sometimes, and I don't have a chance to go all the way to Cambridge in the medical center, go to the VA, get my medicine, which I don't, but you get what I'm saying. If you miss a day, are irate, you are angry, you will throw things, you will feel like you're dying on the inside. You cannot get off the code. I mean, these are things that people won't, because they're scared of their self-image, they won't tell you. There is something wrong with that. When someone goes to war and they get hurt, they get a Purple Heart and they get disability payments, but they also get a ticket to lifelong addiction and a lifelong ticket to side effects. And I see on social media so much with opioids that people are getting so addicted that they literally cannot function, and it's tearing families apart. Now, Big Pharma is still getting paid big bucks for these things, right? But at the same time, you're not seeing the families that are getting destroyed. And you're seeing these social media posts that Facebook is allowing to filter around for 22 push-ups, for 22 veterans a day that are killing themselves. Guys, it's a mixture of what they've seen and what they're dealing with, but it's also a mixture of the opioids. It's a mixture of the overdose, or they get a plateau, or they become immune to these substances, and so they want more and more and more. And that brings me to another good point, is everyone's saying that cannabis is a gateway drug. First of all, it's a natural grown substance with no additives that is not addicting, but could be habit forming, which is left up to the individual. But opioids are factually and 100% addictive. When you hit that plateau, you're going to reach for something else, or you're going to want more. So when we watch these social things and we say we support our veterans, why aren't we doing a bigger approach and making that number go down and look into the side effects of these pharmaceuticals that we're giving them every day?
Very good point, Meek. So we need to wrap this up now. Ashley, so why don't you give me a closing statement, and then and you know, as far as your whole movement is concerned, and where we go from here.
Yes, I just want to make a statement. I'm not trying to tell you to do something illegal. I'm not telling you to try something that you're not okay with for your body. But I am begging you guys and you listeners and politicians to listen to this message. Pick up this professionally produced magazine with facts of how it can economically change our state and our veterans and our people with mental illness and children with these seizures. Do something to change this sick circle. And if you would just follow us at 420opencarry.com. We have a commercial playing right now at 94.5 The Buzz. I want to say thank you to 94.5 The Buzz for giving us a chance for that. But you, Egberto, have been amazing at letting me take a chance to try to change this reputation and give people the help that they need.
Look, Ashley Miller, it was my pleasure to have you. You are a wonderful activist out there. Keep doing what you're doing with your team, with the team of you guys that have put all of this together, the website designer, the people who are running the website, all the work that you guys are doing is important.
And catch a walk. Catch a local walk. The Cannabis Open Carry Walks. We have events on the website and on our Facebook page. You can literally link up with us and you can be on the side of the road. We've got to get a revision in this bill, guys. And it is very, very short time. And we have the session starts in January. And we're looking out for the cannabis camp out that we plan to have at the Capitol if we don't see anything. So we're coming full force.
I'll be there. I will be there to stream that live. We'll be there.
We're going to have a whole bunch of great
and let me know. Let me tell you something. Remember that you guys have a home here. When you have stuff to put out, let us know. We don't only do radio. We don't only do live stream. We also have a well-read set of blog sites. Not only my own, but the Daily Coast, Op-Ed News, and a lot of other places that carry our stuff. So please let us know. And I tell you what, you have your platform, and thank you so kindly for having been here.
Egberto, thank you so much. And I am so excited to bring you some new listeners and viewers. You are an outstanding individual alone. So I really enjoyed it.
Likewise. Thank you so kindly. You have a wonderful day now.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye. Folks, that was Ashley Miller, a great activist. Now let's get busy with finishing up the program. As you know, I had the blog of the week, and I decided not to go with the blog of the week because I knew that Ashley had a whole lot to say, and I wanted her to have the full platform to say it. I want to remind all of you listeners right now, and this is very, very important. Progressive Radio needs your support. And why do we need your support? We need your support because absent your support, we can't bring you folks like Ashley Miller. Absent your support, we cannot inform you as we have informed you with not only cannabis, with not only how the 2008 crashed as it did. We can't bring you as we did what occurred in the most progressive forum in the country, meaning Netroots Nation 2018, where I did over 46 interviews with not from Cynthia Nixon, former Sex and the City actress, who is now going to be governor of New York, or Sefer Teachout, who is going to likely be the Attorney General of New York. Very important state where a lot is going to happen and will have a whole lot of effect on Trump himself. Likewise, we put our mouth where we do what we say we're going to do. We told you that we are going to bring voices that progressive voices and other voices that won't get aired on mainstream media. We were going to bring you information that won't get aired on main media. So what do we need from you? We have very, very inexpensive subscriptions that we ask for you to partake on. And why do we ask that? Because the other side, those folks who are not trying to give you the information, those folks who are not necessarily trying to move things forward, they have millions. As if you listen to what Ashley Miller had to say, she understands the concept of why a lot of what she talks about cannot appear on mainstream media. She knows why. But we bring it. And others like us bring it. So what we ask you to do is go to patreon.com, patreon.com/politics done right. It is essential, however little, however much, it is essential that we continue to support progressive media. Why? Because that is how we're going to change this country. Look, do you have to be a progressive to support progressive media? As I played for you before, I have Republican and conservative donors. I had one who came on KPFT and said, I am supporting Egberto Willies because free speech is important and there's a whole lot to say. And you can go to my Patreon blog, patreon.com/politics done right, and see what that Republican leader had to say about supporting progressive media, specifically Politics Done Right. So I ask you to please go to patreon.com/politics done right. Be a part of the family. There's a lot more to come. Right now, it's just Politics Done Right. But we're going to have a whole lot of other shows that we're planning for as the funding comes in. As the funding comes in. Right now, we're not ready but for Politics Done Right. But we want to bring you a whole lot more so that you would be an informed citizenry, not only on politics, but many other things. But it has to start with you, and you're the one doing it. So I ask you to go ahead and go to patreon.com, patreon.com/politics done right. We are going to be here for you. I promise you that as long as we can be of a positive input for you, we're going to be here. I spoke yesterday about altruism and what it takes to really move forward. It takes a whole lot of us to be altruistic. Look up the meaning of altruistic. I know most of our listeners are exactly that, altruistic. We know that even if we're doing well ourselves, we have to look out for our brothers and our sisters. We have to look out for those who are not aired. We have to look out for those who are suffering. We have to look out for those as well who are even successful, because sometimes, you know what? They need a hand, not necessarily a financial hand, but a moral hand. So let's remember that. Please go ahead and go to patreon.com, patreon.com/politics done right. Thank you so kindly for listening to this. Thank you so kindly, Ashley, for your passionate support of the cannabis movement. I think Texas needs people like you right now. Folks that are just out there for the causes. That is what we need. We need Americans to step up. We need Americans to know their worth. We need Americans to know that, you know what? Ultimately, they can make the difference if they engage. They just have to engage. The corporations have taught us to engage with them. Give me your money. Give me your money. And we give it to them freely, a lot. The progressive movement is saying, look, throw us a few pennies, and I tell you what we'll do. we'll make the difference for you. Patreon.com, patreon.com/politics done right. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And guess what, folks? You know how I end this baby. I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.